start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do you want to go ahead and do roll, Emily?
I'm actually.
Or Mary, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see, Commissioner Jorgensen is not here and Commissioner Campbell has not shown up either. So we'll skip over them. So we'll do this now for the approval of the minutes with the one item we have on the agenda, and then for adjournment, so 4 times in all. Oh, okay. So let's see, Commissioner Bouillon. Oh, sorry, we're doing the roll call, so I just need you to stay here. Bob?
I'm here.
Okay.
Just in time.
Okay. Commissioner Giada?
Yes, I'm here.
Commissioner Pearson?
Here.
Commissioner Stolarski?
Here.
Chair Millis?
Here.
All right.
Next up is the approval of minutes from the February 4th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I was abstaining. I wasn't here last meeting.
I wasn't here.
For this, are we doing individual voting again, or can we just do aye?
No, it's because it's on Zoom, it's the law.
Okay.
We have to go through that. So here we go. Commissioner Bouillon?
Well, I wasn't there, so I think I need to exempt
So
myself.
you're abstaining?
I'm sorry, what's that?
So you're abstaining then?
Yes, I'm abstaining. I'm sorry.
cool.
Thank you.
Commissioner Giada?
Abstain.
Okay, Commissioner Pearson?
Approve.
Commissioner Stolarski?
Aye.
Chair Millis?
Aye. Point of order question, can we approve even though we've only got 3 people the minutes?
I don't know.
That's just my question.
I believe
I
on
have no-
minutes you can just accept as presented.
Okay,
Well,
that works for me. Next up on our agenda then is the Planning Commission review. Do you have a presentation for us, Mary?
Yes, I do. I'm going to share my screen.
1 second, sorry, Mary. I forgot to ask if Sue has anything if Councilman Olson has anything to add. Sorry about that.
No problem.
No worries. Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have too much actually. Just, let's see, in our last meeting, we discussed whether or not to add a policy regarding donations and memorials. We're still talking about that. We did do an amendment, or we will be doing an amendment to the commissioner's appointment, reappointment policy, basically just to kind of bring it in line with some words, and then also add or revise the tree board information. What else did we do? I think there was one other good one I wanted to point out. It was the micro distilleries. We approved that, and we also establishing a license requirement for micro distilleries. That's about all I have. Unless you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer any questions. No questions?
Thanks for your time, Ms. Olson.
Sure.
Now we will move on to the review of the temporary water treatment facility at 1265 12th Street North. Do you have a presentation for us, Mary?
I do. Chair Millis and commissioners, this is a proposal for a new temporary water treatment facility at Municipal Well 7, which is actually at 1265 HELMO, not 1265 12.
Sorry.
No worries. I'm going to share my screen. Everyone see the planning and zoning discussion pyramid?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just to kind of run this down like we do every time. Basically, we start with the comprehensive plan, which is an overall vision for the city going forward, and everything that happens after that refers back to what's in the comp plan. Zoning rules, subdivisions, variances, conditional use permit, they're all less and less discretion, but if you work back down the ladder, they're all based on what goes on in the comp plan. When we get to site plan review, we're looking at much more specific criteria, and they are in the ordinances, and they're referred to in the comp plan as well. So basically what's going on here is the Oakdale is at capacity for its water. And the long-term plan is to build a centralized treatment plant in 2025, but that's 4 years from now. And in that time, we're going to have Willowbrook and HELMO Station coming online at the very least. And so that obviously is going to bring a lot more population. We won't have enough capacity at that point. So the idea here is to build a temporary facility. And here it is. Well, here's the site anyway. This is 12th HELMO. It's the water tower that's there. The movie theater that Home Furniture is redoing is right here. So it's kind of catty corner from that, just to orient you. And anyway, so they're going to, or the idea is to build on the site a temporary facility right here, and it's on the same site as the existing water tower. It'll be used to increase capacity, partly because of the new population that's expected to move into Willowbrook HELMO Station, and also because there are some issues with 4 of our wells with the PFAS and drinking water. Brian Bachmeyer is here and can explain that a little bit if you have questions about that. That's not really my area of expertise. But this is the plan for the site. This is the building. There's not any striped parking because it's not going to be manned on a regular basis. The city comes by and inspects the well and the water tower every day, and they would just make this part of their daily inspection routine. So other than that, it meets the requirements in the zoning code for lot coverage, setbacks, exterior design, so on. They're going to add a bunch of new trees, and this is what it looks like. It's just a very nondescript building. It does meet our exterior design standards for class 1 and class 2 materials. It's the back of it, looks a whole lot like the front. And other than that, there's Brian is cool with it. Cheryl Milgren has done her review, is fine with it. The fire chief, Kevin Wold, is fine with it. And since it's in line with the comp plan and it follows all of the zoning code, staff recommends approval of the site plan, and especially because given the fact that the water situation is starting to come to a head, as it were. That's staff's recommendation. And I would, as I said, Brian Bachmeyer is here, and if you have more technical questions, please direct them to him. Otherwise, I will answer any zoning related questions that you may have.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay, Dallas, go ahead.
Mary, probably you'll pass this to Brian, but the first question that comes to mind is in the report, you mentioned that it's a temporary building. There's no mention of any duration or why it's temporary versus permanent, given the cost that would be involved.
It's temporary because when the new comprehensive facility comes online in 2025, all of the water treatment will be moved to that facility, and then this will be used for storage of off-season equipment. I'm thinking plows in the summer and things like that.
Okay. And I guess I've got a couple more questions that I had discussed with you and Brian. Perhaps you'll want to have Brian answer. The description of the treatment facility and what kind of treatment, carbon filter. And then questions on the well status, what the PFAS is at this location versus the ones we're currently using.
Good evening, commissioners and council member Olson and city staff. This is Brian Bachmeyer, city engineer with Oakdale. Pleased to be here this evening to talk about our treatment facility, temporary treatment facility at the Well 7 site. And I did prepare just a quick presentation. If I may be able to go through it, I'll share it on my computer screen. It's pretty much based on a conversation that Commissioner Pearson and I had earlier this week. I think he had some good questions. So I thought I'd prepare a presentation to kind of share with you that goes over kind of the justification of why we're going to be doing this, and probably kind of explain and try to answer some of the questions Commissioner Pearson may have. So if I may, I'm going to just share my screen here quick for a PowerPoint presentation. Hopefully you can see it. It's the well number 7 temporary treatment facilities confirmation. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So the first slide I have here is to kind of indicate why this is coming about. The Minnesota Department of Health has, over the last 15 years, lowered the thresholds for what requires a well to be treated. And so just showing this chart here, starting in 2006, PFOA and PFOS, those are the two PFAS materials that are heavily regulated. Back in 2006, they allowed 0.5 parts per billion in the raw water, and then it dropped down in 2008 to 3.3 parts per billion, and then in 2014 it dropped down to 70 parts per trillion, which is 0.07 parts per million. And then later in 2017 they dropped it down to 35 parts per trillion. So you can kind of see how the regulations have become more and more restrictive over time. What's on top here, these are the raw water levels of well 9 and well 5. Those are the two wells that are currently treated through our existing treatment facility. So you can see this is the raw water exceeded those allowable standards. Down here is the water as we're treating it. So after the first vessel, it goes through two vessels, a lead and a lag. After the first, you can see it reduces the contaminant level from here down to these thresholds. And then after we polish it through the second filter, it drops it down to virtually non-detect. So kind of the red numbers through here. So you can see over time, we were meeting the regulations, and now, the raw water coming out of the treatment plant is down, still below these very restrictive thresholds of 35 parts per trillion. And same for PFOS. You can see that, we schedule the change outs as the lead filters start getting close to the thresholds before they go through the polish or the lag filters. And then the resulting discharge out of the treatment plant is the red. So consistently less. So those are the two wells, and that's how effective the treatment plant is that we currently have on the Public Works campus at 1900. Just to give you a sense, this is our water system in Oakdale. We have 9 wells. As I mentioned, 2 of the wells, well 5 and well 9, are currently treated. Those are shown right here in green. They are in Walton Park. One's right along Hadley Avenue between City Hall and Public Works. Probably recognize the building. And then the other one is actually also in Walton Park over by the ball field. It's part of a shelter on the west side of the park. So those 2 currently go through the treatment plant out to our distribution system. We have 4 other wells that are shown here, well 8, well 7 that we're talking about tonight, well 1 and well 2. These 4 wells, now with the lower thresholds, exceed those thresholds. And so we have not really been able to operate these 4 wells over the last several years. So we've had to take them out of service. We have 2 other wells on the northern part of the city, or the north central part of the city, well 3 and well 10, that have raw water levels below the health-based standards. So they do not require any treatment. They are still in our operating system. We also have 1 well on the northern part of the city. It's well 6. It's an emergency well. And the reason we call that an emergency well is because it has some poorer water quality as it relates to iron and manganese. So it's a well that we don't like to operate very frequently, only on very high demand days or something like that, we'll operate that well. But generally, we're fulfilling the city's water needs with wells 5, 9, 3, and 10, those 4 wells. And as Mary indicated, now that we're seeing Willowbrook development and the HELMO station, we are now exceeding capacity, or will be exceeding capacity of these 4 wells, and we need to look at trying to treat one of these wells that we currently are not operating. As part of the 3M drinking water settlement, you probably read some articles on the state settlement with 3M. I believe the original settlement was $840 million. There is now $720 million available to the East Metro area to treat water and to improve the groundwater that has been affected by PFAS. That plan for Oakdale, again, shows these 4 wells coming out of commission, taking these 4 wells out of commission ultimately, and then developing a centralized treatment plant at the current Public Works location, and then drilling 3 new wells to replace these wells that are coming out of commission, and then the 2 existing wells that currently go. So everything would be centralized at one location where we would treat the water and supply it to the distribution system. We did do a study in 2019 that concluded in early 2020. We evaluated those 4 well sites that we mentioned to try to determine which one would be most suitable for on-site treatment if we wanted to do that, as opposed to a centralized treatment plant. And the conclusions of that study, they evaluated the wells at 1, 2, 7, and 8. We identified the size of the parcel, the current zoning, the abutting residential properties, the setbacks, and other zoning regulations as it relates to height and building size requirements, setbacks. So we identified that all in a chart. We also estimated the cost of building a treatment facility, and it was about $5 million. And this is funded through ultimately by 3M, either because they pay for temporary treatment facilities through the 2007 consent order. The conclusions of that study indicated that we do have a need for 1 additional well that should be treated for some immediate future needs. In that in the future, we will need 2 additional wells for capacity. And so that centralized system that we were talking about does provide that. Most of these wells are in residential areas. So it did appear that well 7 would be the most suitable location because it's surrounded by industrial, commercial properties, and it is a larger parcel of property. There was one option of trying to combine 2 of the wells at one location by Tower Park, in Tower Park, but it would result in losing the play structure that's currently in the park. So again, we didn't feel that that was an acceptable option. So the conclusion was that we should look at installing a treatment facility at well 7. And so that is the recommendation that kind of came out of that study. And so, as Mary indicated, this was a site plan. It's a 3,500 square foot building, 50 by 70. When we look inside the building, you can see that it's sized to store 4 filters. And then this is the tractor trailer that would drive into the site and load the filters. It takes about 1 day to do 2. So after over 2 days, you could change out the filter in these 2 filters, and that happens once a year. And then the truck would leave. Out here, we're showing, this is where there would be trailers parked to store the backwash water while we're doing this operation. That's just to reduce the surge onto the sanitary sewer system so that we don't overwhelm the discharge into the sanitary sewer system. So these tankers would be filled with water and then allowed to discharge at a regulated rate so we don't surcharge the water. This is kind of a cross section so you can get a sense of how the filters look. This is very similar to our existing treatment facility if you've been in there. It's about a 30-foot tall building. And this one, it just indicates, here's the tractor trailer and the filters, so you can kind of get a sense of the scale of the building. And yeah, we had tree replacement. We were taking out, I believe, 5 trees and replacing additional trees to meet the requirements of the zoning code. And then this is just kind of a colored rendering. What we're intending to do here, it's going to be a tip-up panel, so it provides for expedited construction, but it does meet the city performance requirements as far as texture and composition and mixture of metals and concrete. We do have this, probably is similar to a lot of the other public facility buildings that we have. We kind of have a lower colored base and then a lighter colored upper portion of the building. And then the metal components are the green flashing to kind of match the green of City Hall and some of the other public facility buildings. That was kind of what I tried to address after the conversation with Mr. Pearson. Were there any other questions or things that I did not address from Commission Member Pearson?
No, I think that does a good job.
Yep, nice job, Brian.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Is there any more discussion?
I have a question for Brian.
Yes.
Brian, is there any, this might be a dumb question, but is there any increased noise associated with this building?
No, there are no emissions and virtually no noise. It's you can have a conversation standing in the building when it's in operation. It's a passive pressurized system. The water just goes through the filters. It takes 10 minutes for the water to go through the filters. So it's a very quiet system. There, you will hear nothing outside the building. And even when you're in the building, you can have just a standard conversation. There's no issue with that. The only discharge out of the building is in the summertime. You can imagine the water coming out of the ground is around 55 degrees. So when it goes through the vessel, it creates a lot of humidity on the side of the tanks. So there is a dehumidifier in the building that tries to dry the air to just keep it so that the water doesn't drip around the base of the filters. But so it's just humid air that's discharged periodically out of the building to control humidity.
And how quickly do you think this will be up and running? If it's approved?
We are running it on an expedited schedule. We've been, it's our hope to have it up by midsummer. So that if demand does increase, if we have a dry season, we would put it into the service right away. If we don't have demand, obviously we'll wait until the demand comes with Willowbrook. But if there's an opportunity to operate it yet this year, we will.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any further questions or discussion?
Just to make sure I understood properly, Brian, so really all the money's coming from the 3M grant, right? For this thing?
Yes, it's a pass-through grant from the MPCA, but 3M ultimately subsidizes the grant program through the 2007 consent order, which requires 3M to pay for temporary treatment. So 3M is paying for all the, they call them point of entry treatments in homes where people have private wells in, like, for example, Lake Elmo and portions of Woodbury and Cottage Grove. We really don't have any in Oakdale. Most properties in Oakdale are hooked up to the municipal water system, but those portions of those other communities, there are a lot of neighborhoods that still have private wells, and they've had to install point of entry treatment, which is similar to a water softener, but it's basically the carbon activated treatment similar to this on a much smaller scale in homes. And 3M is paying for all those to be installed through the NPCA program.
Very good.
Any further questions? Then I am looking for a motion to approve the site plan for a temporary water treatment facility at 1265 HELMO Avenue North.
So moved. Dallas Pearson.
Second,
Do I have,
second.
do I have,
All right, let's do the roll call. Commissioner Bouillon,
Approved? Yes.
Commissioner Giada,
Yes.
Commissioner Pearson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stolarski,
Yes,
Chair Millis.
yes. Motion passes. Mary and Emily, do you guys have any further informational items for us tonight?
Just a couple of things about the city council. On February 9th, they approved the furniture store parking ordinance for for the city, but going along with the home furniture reuse of the movie theater. And there was a work session on February 23rd about the sign ordinance, also part of that same home furniture development. And they will take action on that on the 9th, which is next Tuesday. And again, on the April meeting, there's nothing on the agenda for now, but that's subject to change. So stay tuned. We'll let you know if something comes up.
Sounds good. Anything else from any of the commissioners? Then I need a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
We gotta do the roll call. Sorry.
Sorry.
Pandemic. Commissioner Bouillon,
Yes.
Commissioner Giada,
Yes.
Commissioner Pearson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stolarski,
Yes.
Chair Millis.
Yes.
All right.
Meeting is adjourned.